similar to how I did last year after the season ended, I sat down and really evaluated the Texans coaching staff. Today, I'm going to be doing that again. And I am going to be as fair as possible. So before, you start typing, fire Bill O'Brien, fire Romeo Crennel, do this, do that. Just hear me out. I will say this, I did find out something pretty interesting about this coaching staff compared to other coaching staffs. And I won't be talking about the strength and conditioning coaches because obviously, our main one just walked away, so some changes could be coming there. The way I feel about that, I mean, we had a lot of lower body injuries this season, so, maybe it's low-key for the best. Maybe it's not, but who knows. Anyways, let's start off with Bill O'Brien, head coach / offensive coordinator. Look, here's the thing. Personally, I think Bill O'Brien is a good head coach. I also think Bill O'Brien is a good play caller. But unfortunately, I think Bill O'Brien, the head coach, holds back Bill O'Brien, the play caller. And Bill O'Brien, the play caller, holds back Bill O'Brien, the head coach. Something I found interesting. If you just pay attention to the whole season, pre-snap penalties. This team was so damn undisciplined. Who does that fall under? The coaching. Bill O'Brien. But if you go back to the 3 years where Bill O'Brien wasn't the offensive play caller, we were one of the most disciplined teams in the league. So obviously Bill O'Brien calling plays is kind of taking some time away from him actually, just coaching up the whole team, coaching discipline. And another thing I also find quite strange, and I wish I knew just how involved Bill O'Brien was on defense, because think about it this way. The first 3 years under the Bill O'Brien tenure, the defense was amazing. We thought it was 100% Romeo Crennel, and then, the fourth year, Crennel goes to assistant head coach, and Mike Vrabel takes a DC job. Our defense completely sucked that year, and we all blamed Mike Vrabel. Okay? So, Mike Vrabel goes to Tennessee, Crennel comes back down, and we all expected this defense to, be great again. But no, the defense sucked again. So it brings up the question, how involved was Bill O'Brien with this defense as well? How involved was Bill O'Brien with the whole team in general? Because obviously these past 2 years, all these pre-snap penalties, that's discipline. To me, that's something the head coach works on, preaching discipline. But obviously when he's working on the offense 100% of the time, he ain't got time to do that. And then the defense too. The defense just completely went down the drain. I refuse to believe that the defense can go from where it was at in 2016 to the best defense in the league to where it was at in 2017 and 2018. I don't believe that. Maybe Bill O'Brien was more involved on defense than we thought. But now to all those people that are yelling, fire Bill O'Brien. Stop. Please, stop. It's not going to happen. And it shouldn't either. Because there is not a single head coach right now, a single coach available at the moment that you can sign, hire, whatever you want to call it, that can come in here and be better than Bill O'Brien. If you're one of those people that are saying, fire Bill O'Brien, okay, that's fine. Let's say we fire Bill O'Brien. Who do you bring in? Really, yeah, I'm asking you, who do you bring in? And I better not see a single, Dabo Swinney. Better not see, Nick Saban or any huge college coach, because these guys aren't leaving. They're not leaving their dream jobs. They're getting paid millions to, coach at their dream job. They're not going to leave for the Texans. Yeah, I understand, we have Deshaun Watson, but Dabo Swinney's not going to leave Trevor Lawrence, the guy that could possibly be the best quarterback to ever come out of college, is what they're pegging him as right now. He's not going to leave all that. So, okay, say you fire Bill O'Brien. What happens then? You end up with Hugh Jackson, Gus Bradley, Mike Mularkey, Romeo Crennel. Those type of coaches. You end up with a guy that's a terrible coach. Okay, see, that's not an issue, because then you can just fire him, right? You fire him in 2 years, and then you bring in a better coach. That's fine, right? Wrong. Because, see, look, Deshaun's been learning this O'Brien system. Deshaun's been learning how to be a quarterback with Bill O'Brien. And personally, I believe Bill O'Brien has been doing a good job of teaching him to be an NFL quarterback. Whether you want to say it's Bill O'Brien or Sean Ryan, doesn't matter, because if Bill O'Brien gets fired, Sean Ryan goes with him. So it's like a package deal. But say you fire O'Brien, the new coach comes in. Let's say Hugh Jackson comes in. We already know what Hugh Jackson brings to the table. He's a terrible head coach, and he's gonna pretty much ruin Deshaun Watson, set him back a few years. He has to learn a new system. Okay, and then 2 years later you fire Hugh Jackson, and then you bring a new coach, and then Deshaun has to learn yet another system. And for a young quarterback, that's career ending. That right there can ruin a young quarterback's career. Take a look at Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota. Mariota has had, 3 head coaches, 5 offensive coordinators? That don't work. You can't keep living like that, Like, that's how you break a young quarterback. We just got Deshaun Watson, and people already want to put him in tough spots. Like, I am not here to defend Bill O'Brien. If you could have got Bruce Arians, I would have been all for firing Bill O'Brien this offseason. But obviously, Bruce Arians was only interested in the Cleveland job, and then later was linked to Tampa Bay, and, it just went from there. So we pretty much never had a shot at Bruce Arians. Firing Bill O'Brien would set this franchise back many years, because, again, you'd end up with a terrible head coach. There is not a guy currently right now available that is better than Bill O'Brien that you can realistically get. You can name Dabo Swinney, you can name all these other guys, but you're not going to get them. You're not. And again, I am not here to defend Bill O'Brien. I am here to look out for my quarterback, Deshaun Watson. I am not going to let anybody put Deshaun Watson in a bad spot, because what people aren't thinking about is Deshaun Watson. People are just mad of the outcome, and believe me, I am embarrassed by that. I hate it. I hate even thinking about it. But you gotta think about what's best for Deshaun. Again, we've already seen Bill O'Brien can coach Deshaun, and Deshaun has progressed as a quarterback. Whether it's Sean Ryan, if you want to say it's Sean Ryan, sure. If you think it's Bill O'Brien, then whatever, But again, you fire Bill O'Brien, Sean Ryan goes. So why mess with something to, make something worse, If you think this is broken, it's only going to get worse, because you're not going to get a better head coach at the moment. Now, I'm not saying, keep Bill O'Brien forever, because let's be honest, we have people saying the Texans are going to end up doing the Marvin Lewis thing with Bill O'Brien. That's a load of BS. I'll tell you why, because if the Texans let go of Rick Smith, who was a family friend, what in the world makes you think they won't let go of Bill O'Brien? It's going to happen. If it has to happen, it will happen. But as of right now, the smarter thing to do is wait next offseason, or not even next offseason, right now, at this moment, Cal McNair or whoever can start poking around, looking around for the next head coach. But for this season, you got to bite the bullet and just go with it. Go with it, because you're not going to get anyone better this offseason than Bill O'Brien. That's just the reality of the situation. And plus, man, I see some people rooting for the Texans to, suck next year. That's just dumb, man. Like, come on. If we get better offensive linemen, get some better corners, Deshaun Watson's going to get better in year 3, and then, obviously this team's going to get better. Now, I will say this. Bill O'Brien could save his job, potentially, if he reaches, like, the AFC Championship game and, the Texans are amazing next season. But also, Bill O'Brien's also going to get fired next season if one of these 3 things happen. Well, 4 if you count having just a bad season in general. But, like, these other 3 things, like, for example, let's say the Texans have a 10-win season again. Bill O'Brien can still get fired. If the Texans go out and lay an egg again in the playoffs, he's getting fired. If Deshaun Watson regresses, he's getting fired. If Deshaun Watson takes a bunch of sacks again, he's getting fired. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is Deshaun Watson. That's all there is to it. You gotta look out for Deshaun. A lot of people aren't thinking about Deshaun when they're talking about a head coaching change. When you look at this franchise moving forward, you gotta think about what's best for Deshaun. And at the moment, what's best for Deshaun is keeping Bill O'Brien, whether you like it or not. And again, not here to defend Bill O'Brien. I'm just here to look after my quarterback. Anyways, I do think Bill O'Brien's going to stay next season, or this season, though, at the bare minimum. If the team improves, he's staying longer. If, things stay the same, he's leaving. But I do expect Cal McNair and the Texans to be poking around looking for some legitimate candidates for the next head coaching job. I do believe that 100%. Now the next guy, Romeo Crennel. Get him out of here. Look, again, I said I don't be a fair person. To be fair, Jonathan Joseph is an aging veteran. Sharice Wright's trash. Kareem Jackson's not a good corner. Tyrann Mathieu's not a corner at all. Kevin Johnson got hurt. Kayvon Webster, the guy you picked up, stayed getting hurt. So, I'll be fair there, maybe injuries, aging, maybe it was just the lack of personnel at the corner spots. But see, that's not what I'm firing Crennel for. The reason I'm firing Crennel is because he got J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless, and Jadeveon Clowney. And you can't find a way to get pressure? You got Whitney Merciless over there dropping back into coverage, dude. I mean, seriously, is it really hard to get pressure when you have J.J. Whitney and Clowney? It's not. It's really not. You got to put your players in position to succeed, and Romeo Crennel wasn't doing that with these 3 guys. He's got to let all 3 of them rush the passer at the same time. You can't have Whitney dropping back into coverage. You can't have Whitney standing up, freaking pass rushing from the middle. You can do that with JJ. You could put JJ in the middle. You could put Clowney in the middle. But Whitney, he's a pure edge rusher. Crennel should know this. And to me, that's a fireable offense. But that's not even the end of it. Duke Ejiofor was a guy that was projected as a second rounder, a really talented guy. But yet you hardly ever saw Duke Ejiofor get rotated in there. Duke Ejiofor could be used to, keep Clowney, Watt, and Merciless fresh for the, the fourth quarter. Or, even him, when he goes in, he's going to have some fresh legs while the other guys are tired. And he will make plays because he's a talented player. And then you have Dylan Cole. I mean, literally, like, Crennel would rather drop Whitney into coverage instead of Dylan Cole, our best cover linebacker. And then you have the whole D-line rotation situation. This man literally has DJ Reader and Brandon Dunn pass rushing when your best pass rushing defensive linemen are Christian Covington and Carlos Watkins. Yeah, that's not the end of it either. Kareem Jackson was having a great season at safety. But then Crennel moves him to corner. And then Tyrann Mathieu is put at nickel corner. And they both struggled, or didn't look as good as when they were playing safety. Not only that, Aaron Coleman's probably your best corner. Yet you chose to play Sharice Wright over him. Like, these are fireable offenses in my opinion. And if Romeo Crennel wasn't Romeo Crennel, the big name legendary defensive coordinator, if that wasn't, if you didn't have that name attached to him, he'd get fired. Unfortunately, he's not going to get fired. We have to hope that he retires, but they've already said he's coming back, so that really sucks. The best bet right now is hope and pray that Brian Gain is able to get some corners, and the corners can lock down whoever they're covering, and J.J. Watt, Clowney, and Merciless, or whoever else is rushing the passer, can get pressure on pure talent alone, because that's pretty much what they were doing this season. Next guy, Brad Seeley, special teams coordinator. You gotta keep him, man. Honestly, special teams has been a terrible thing in the Texans franchise forever. And this season, this guy shows up and boom, special teams is amazing. Keep him 100%. Running backs coach Danny Barrett. Let him go. Why? Well, Foreman didn't look too good. Lamar Miller looked good here and there. Blue didn't look too good. But that's not really why I want to fire him. The reason why I want to fire him is because I want to bring another guy. The Steelers fired their running back coach, and if you look at the Steelers, they had Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell holds out. James Conner comes in, he balls out. James Conner gets hurt. Jalen Samuels, a rookie, comes in and he balls out. So obviously that running backs coach is doing something right. So, I would fire our running back coach to hire the former Steelers running backs coach. Next guy, offensive line coach Mike Devlin. He's got to go. Look, I'm a fair person, again. To be fair, Mike Devlin hasn't really had much talent to work with. But see, that's not where I'm saying fire him from. Say we draft an offensive tackle in the first round. Say, I don't know, Jawan Taylor, Greg Little, whoever. Say we draft one. Do you really trust this man to develop your young offensive tackle? No, not at all. Get him out of here. I heard the offensive line coach from Washington might dip on the Redskins, so that's a guy you got to get. You should look at the Redskins O-line. Their O-line is amazing. Everyone's good. Their backups are good, So you definitely got to take a look at him. Now, next guy, Tim Kelly, tight ends. I could care less about him, honestly. Akins and Thomas showed some improvement throughout the season. Ryan Griffin's terrible. What else can you say about him, Don't really care much about him. Inside linebackers coach Bobby King. Keep him. McKinney and Zach Cunningham looked good also. Well, Zach Cunningham not so much in the beginning, but, after week 4, or whenever he came back from injury or whatever, Cunningham really looked good. And so did McKinney for most of the season, so you definitely got to keep him in my opinion. Next guy, offensive assistant / offensive line, Will Lawing. I could care less about him. Next two guys, Anthony Midget and the Anton Lynn, assistant secondary coach and secondary coach. Bye-bye. Get out of here, skedaddle, whatever you want to say. They got to get out of here. Look at our damn corners. But to be fair again, talent, but do you trust these guys to develop a young corner when we draft one? I don't think so, man. I don't think so. So, I'm going to have to go with goodbye. Next guy, John Pagano, senior defensive assistant / outside linebackers coach. John Pagano. I say you got to keep him. Duke Ejiofor looked good in the preseason, so obviously I think this guy has something to do with it. It's not his fault that Romeo Crennel is misusing Merciless and has Merciless dropping back into coverage when he's clearly not a cover linebacker. I think this guy should stay as well because he has some coaching experience. And this coaching staff needs some experience. Next guy, John Perry, wide receivers coach. Get him out of here. Why? Simple. Vincent Smith was with us since week 1. I think he was actually with us since preseason. Even in the offseason he was with us. And when Vincent Smith had to play Week 17 in the wild card round because of the injuries, Vincent Smith had no idea where to line up. Whose fault is that? Your position coach, John Perry. It was his fault. Seriously, why the hell did Vincent Smith not know where to line up? It's a coaching issue. And it's on John Perry to get his guys ready. And his guys weren't ready. Assistant special teams coach Tracy Smith. He's got to stay in my opinion. Don't mess with the special teams. Defensive line coach Anthony Weaver. He's got to stay too. You got DJ Reader, JJ Watt. And and let's say, who's your other starters? Say, let's just say Christian Covington. Those are your starters. But then you look at the people behind them. Brandon Dunn—he's pretty damn good. Angelo Blackson's good. Carlos Watkins, not too bad. Joel Heath, not too bad. You know, this guy's doing a good job coaching up his guys. So you got to keep him. And the last guy, Wes Welker, special teams assistant / offensive assistant. I mean, keep him. I mean, again, don't mess with the special teams. We finally have a good one. No reason to mess with anything of that. But okay, look. The one thing I noted about this team, I started doing a little research, digging in deeper. I started counting. I counted that the Texans had 17 coaches in total, not including their strength and conditioning coaches. I was like, okay, is that, I got curious, is that like what every team has? Or like, do the Texans have more coaches than other teams? Or do they have less coaches than other teams? Okay, I go to the Rams, the Saints, and the Ravens. They all have 22 coaches. I go to the Eagles. They have 23. Chargers, Cowboys, Colts. They have 19. Bears, Seahawks, Chiefs. They have 21. All these are playoff teams from this season. They all have 2 or more coaches than the Texans do. And these are all different type of coaches, man. These are like, offensive coordinators, offensive, run game assistant, run game specialist, passing game coordinator, and all weird stuff like that, dude. I mean, literally in the NFL, you can have as big as a coaching staff as you want. If you want 50 coaches on your coaching staff, you can do it. You can do it, You can definitely do that. So, when you wonder why the Texans get out coached sometimes, it's simple. It's a numbers game. The Texans are outnumbered in coaching. They don't have all these other coaches. If you thought not having an offensive coordinator was bad enough, well, you got all these other teams that have, run game specialists, passing game specialists. They have analysts on the team. Like, seriously, the Ravens have like 5 analysts on their freaking coaching staff. The Texans, they ain't got none of that. And then, I was like, why are the Texans doing this? And then I went to go take a look at the Patriots coaching staff. They got 14 coaches. 14. Seriously. Again, not including the, strength and conditioning coaches. So to me, this is obviously what Bill O'Brien learned. Bill O'Brien learned, that a small coaching staff is good. But you look at all these other playoff teams, they have more coaches than the Texans. So to me, this is a simple numbers game. The Colts, they have more eyes and more minds than the Texans. If you can have as many coaches as you want, why isn't Bill O'Brien doing this? Go get you an offensive coordinator. I mean, you don't have to necessarily give up the play calling, but get you a guy that you can trust on offense. And then you know what? Get you a run game specialist, a guy who will just focus on the run game. Get you another O-line coach. Maybe you don't have to fire Mike Devlin. Maybe you have to bring in another guy to help out Mike Devlin, Because I have heard that Mike Devlin does a good job developing his offensive linemen when it comes to run blocking, but when it comes to pass blocking, he don't do that good of a job. So maybe you go and get you a guy to help him out that specializes in pass blocking, You can literally have a coaching staff full of 50 people. Why do you have only 17, including yourself, while the Saints have 22, Eagles have 23, Go get you some more coaches. I think it's that simple. It's a numbers game. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys for today. Sorry, I guess I went on a little Bill O'Brien rant there at the start, but if you made it this far into the video, 25 minutes almost, and I appreciate you guys for watching. And anyways, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.